Wait a minute. You like wrestling?
Of course I like wrestling. That's why I hate it.
Outlaws.
Wrestling is better than the things you like.
Outlaws. You'll take those rattlesnake fangs and you'll stick them right in my ass.
What?
Middle-aged. Outlaws. Today I'm middle-aged.
Oh, how true that is. Adam, welcome to episode 41 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast.
Howdy.
On a scale of 1 to... Did you say howdy?
I did. I don't know why. That's just
Uncle Howdy.
It's where
On
I'm at
a
right
scale of fair dues, you be where you want to be. On a scale of 1 to 10, how oosy are you feeling?
now. How Usi? Is Usi a good? Yeah, not very Usi.
Not very oosy. Like a 4 on the oosy scale?
Yeah, I imagine I could do with being a bit more Usi. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we can
What about
boost
you?
your oos. I'm maybe feeling a bit like a 7 on the
Full of
oosy scale.
Juice?
Oh no.
Oh,
No.
no.
That's a different
Okay.
thing.
Okay.
I don't want to be full of any of my oose's juice. Okay, oos. Right. Today we will be talking about NXT Takeover Dallas, which was what that bitch the Oracle gave to us last time. That is set in 2016, and I think you might agree that it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, this was good, and I still, from off the back of this, I still can't work out why you've turned on the Oracle to such a extent. But never mind. This was good.
Yeah, we'll get into that. What was I going to say there? Yeah, it really, really was good. It was one of those ones that, like you chuck on a pay-per-view or you have a look at the list of matches and you just thought, that sounds all right. And this was more than all right, yeah. I think it's fair to say. Let's do the usual. I'll tell you what was going on round about. This was April 2016, WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania 32. You would never believe this, but Roman Reigns was in the main event of WrestleMania 32.
Okay.
Who against?
32. Lesnar.
No. Another one? Come on.
Rollins?
Nah, that should be a wrestle. That's never been a WrestleMania main event, should be.
Is it not? Okay.
Triple H.
Oh, right. Okay.
Surprised to hear that he was still at this point main event in a WrestleMania.
Yeah,
but,
I'm surprised.
Yeah, apparently so.
Okay.
So I'll give you a rundown of what was going on. I've got quite a lot of information here because there's a lot of stuff going on. So, April 2016, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees in April 2016 included Chicago, Cheap Trick, Deep Purple, and NWA.
Nice.
That's a class.
Nice.
The Paris Agreement on Climate Change was signed by 195 countries. Less fun, more, you know, end of the world. But also the end of the world, Jared Goff was picked by the LA Rams, number 1 in the NFL draft.
I mean, it's still kind of fun, You're not going to win, but it's fun.
Unless you're a Lions fan,
Yeah.
We had a bunch of deaths here, a few of them wrestling related. The 9th wonder of the world, China, dead at the age of 46. Blackjack Mulligan at the age of 73. Balls Mahoney, dead at 44. Yeah. And I want to say was his tag team partner in ACW Axl Rose? Am I making that up?
Axl Rotten.
Axl Rotten. Is Axl Rose the actual lead singer of Guns N' Roses?
Yeah.
Oh, God. When they put it past them. I'm sure Axl Rotten passed away just a little bit earlier as well. And non-wrestling related, Prince passed away in April 2016 as well at the age of 57. It was WrestleMania weekend, like I said, so we had WWE Hall of Fame inductees. Would you like to know who they were?
Go for it.
Be pretty shit if you said no, because I've got a list here. So, the non wrestling. They do like a celebrity. Do they do a celebrity entrant every year, or is that an old thing now?
I'm curious to see what happens next year. Put it that way. I think there's been quite a
Good
few
point.
celebrities recently. Yeah.
So Snoop Dogg was inducted by John Cena. Then we had the fabulous Freebirds inducted by the New Day, which is a curious choice. Stan Hansen was inducted by Vader. Jacqueline was inducted by the Dudley Boys. The Big Boss Man was posthumously inducted by Slick.
Oh, he would have been his manager for a while, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I really want to go and watch Slick inducting him. The Godfather was inducted by the APA.
Okay.
And the headline inductee was Sting, inducted by Ric Flair.
Okay.
Quite surprising names, actually. I'm genuinely surprised to see that Sting was inducted in 2016
Yeah.
into the WWE Hall of Fame.
When he would have had his WrestleMania match with Triple H, would that be a year before or
31, the year before,
Yeah,
right? So they buried him and then inducted him.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay.
UK number one in April 2016. Are we going to play this game or will I just tell you?
2016. Nah, the music had finished by then, I think.
Mike Posner with I Took a Pill in Ibiza.
I think it's safe to say I wouldn't have got that.
I was going to, your face would suggest that. The US number one was Work by Rihanna featuring Drake.
Okay. It's people I've heard of, so yeah.
That's good. And the UK and US box office number one film was the same film. Fancy a cheeky wee guess?
You would think I'd be better at films than music in recent times.
It's superhero related.
Is it a Marvel film?
Surely that would be no.
It wouldn't be. I don't
I've
know
said
them
too
very
much.
well. Okay.
No?
Superhero. Nah.
Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice.
Okay. See, in my mind,
I feel like somebody's granny might have guessed that.
In my mind, that's really recent, but clearly not.
Says it all, doesn't it? Says it all. So there we go. That's April 2016 wrapped up in a big fat bow for us. Nice. And that means we can get on to this absolutely tremendous pay-per-view. And right off the bat, this is obviously set. This is Dallas, Texas. Right off the bat, as soon as it starts, we get this lovely video package with all these Texas wrestling legends. Mm-hmm. And I think you can see this as Triple H, yeah? Now you can see other stuff he's done around Intercontinental title and all that sort of stuff. This is clearly his thing. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's just like, it's such a little thing in the context of, I know it's not the longest show in the world, but is it just over 2 hours, I think? But it's such a little thing to have something like this on the intro, but just trying to underline the importance of where you are. And I think Triple H will put across the board a lot more of a focus on the importance of history and things like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just nice to see. It's refreshing. It's different from the way that the main roster has been for so long, when, you know, they've, I think, done as much as they can to try and get away from history in a weird way.
Yeah, like distancing. This is embracing pro wrestling, all the history that comes with it, and paying homage and paying respect. And yeah, you're right what you're saying. Like, it's like we're sports entertainment. We're not wrestling and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely love it. So you got Funks, Von Erich, Stone Cold. I think you had the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, amongst many others. It's brilliant.
Yeah, a lot, and some I wouldn't have, thought of myself as having that sort of Texas connection. But yeah, pretty cool.
So we've got Todd Phillips as our lead commentator, with Corey Graves doing the analysis stuff. And if I'd looked at this and said that, in fact, I think I might have made like some arsehole comment like, "Oh, the little fake Michael Cole, Todd Phillips, and all that." But I thought they were class the whole pay-per-view. They like complimented everything that was happening.
I don't know if maybe because although I stopped watching the TV, I kept watching a lot of pay-per-views or premium live events for a long time,
Yeah.
and I started finding Corey Graves pretty irritating in that main roster role. You know, he's
Hmm.
obviously a lot of the time playing the heel announcer, and obviously I think being force-fed a lot of this stuff that he's supposed to say, whereas this just came across as a bit more authentic, just
Yeah.
him being a guy calling a wrestling
Yeah.
match, which
Yeah.
came across a lot better for me.
There was a lot of I don't know around what time period, probably 2019, 2020 maybe. Him and John Moxley's wife, what's her name, Renee.
Yeah,
Um,
they called her
when
Renee
she
Young, didn't they? But it was
Yes,
yeah,
Paquette. When
yeah,
she was the third man on commentary, they would do a lot of bickering back and forward, and the whole heel thing and everything is just really, really annoying, irritating.
yeah.
And like you say, it's clear that it's they're they're playing a part in reading a script or being told a script in their ear rather than
Mhm.
being allowed to just commentate on the matches. Because honestly, I thought they were brilliant all the way through this.
Yeah, yeah.
So we start off with kickoff with a NXT tag title match. We've got the champions, American Alpha,
Champions of the revival here.
champions of the revival.
Yeah.
I am definitely not going to try and remember their names because I'll get confused with their AEW names. Oh, one was called Scott Dawson,
Yes.
and
Dash
is one
Wilder.
Dash Wilder. Okay,
Yep. Yep.
I'm going to try and remember the AEW names because I'll get confused again. Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson. Which one's the bald one?
I think that's Dash
Dawson.
Wilder.
Oh
Oh
my
no.
god.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, Dawson, I think. I try to
Okay.
remember there's a move that I've got listed who does it. 'Cause some of them I do have. Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's Dawson. Yeah.
And they're taking on American Alpha. It's Jason Jordan and Chad Gable.
Yeah.
And we'd been impressed with American Alpha when we saw them. I think was that the 2018 Survivor Series
Yeah.
that we watched now.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've obviously. I think a common theme of this conversation we're going to have is I'm going to be asking you, so what happened to them next? Because like they should be like the revival, for example, should be like what the Usos currently are, which is the double undisputed tag team champions and
Mhm.
like the longest reign in history because they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I guarantee I'll go through and ask you just about every person here what happened to them on the main roster.
Yeah, it's funny because I know it was always said, wasn't it, that Vince McMahon didn't really like tag wrestling or he didn't get tag wrestling.
Mhm.
And if it was a tag team for him, it was always just a vehicle to one guy becoming a single star. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I think he struggled to see the point in it. And maybe the revival, when I look at them, they are a tag team, and I struggle to imagine them on their own. I could maybe see it a bit more with Gable and
Mhm.
Jordan, but just a really good old school tag team. And I just think he wouldn't have known what to do or had any real interest in it. I think, which is a shame.
It's amazing. I think my favourite thing about tag teams is when you've got a proper team. You know, it's no like
Mhm.
I don't know Cesaro and Sheamus or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like a team, and they've got team moves, and they do team
Yeah,
stuff together. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah. Me too.
It is a real shame. I was honestly proper blown away by this match. I think that's the first time I've seen the Revival wrestling. I've seen them in AEW once or twice
Okay.
as FTR, but I'd never seen them as the Revival in WWE at all.
Right.
NXT, I was absolutely blown away that like this was just like the kind of tag team wrestling you just love watching. It's so much fun, and
Mhm.
it's an art and a skill. What
Yeah.
did you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked this. I thought there was a good contrast between the two teams because, American Alpha, really fast, high impact moves, quite a lot of athletic and, aerial stuff from them. The Revival, just these sort of anything it takes to win,
Mm-hmm.
quite dirty, quite, willing to take a shortcut, willing to do whatever it takes to win a match. Um, I thought, like, when I was going into it, I'd seen the revival, I'd seen some bits and pieces, hadn't seen as much as I would have liked of American Alpha, but I kind of knew this is going to be like a good contrast. It should work. And I think the announcers actually sort of tell the story of that as you're going through the match. They mention the fact American Alpha at this point haven't been teaming together long. They're quite a new team
Really?
together,
Okay.
which, you wouldn't watch it and think that. Other thing I loved about it,
Nah.
and this is going to sound really strange, there's definitely one moment where they screw up. I think it's an attempt at a move by the revival. It just doesn't go
Yes.
well, but it
Yep.
seems normal and okay in the context it's in. They tried to execute a move, they didn't quite get it right. The fans are chanting, "You fucked
You
up."
fucked up. Yep.
But I think when you have guys that just come across as these old school wrestlers, it's totally believable they could fail to execute a move the exact way they intended to, and then just get on with it and try and
Yeah.
make the best of it and all that. Yeah, I really enjoyed this match.
The thing I really liked about that was, for me, this whole pay-per-view, the crowd were a wee bit iffy. We'll talk about them during Nakamura and Sami Zayn. I thought they added to the match throughout that. They were a wee bit marks for themselves, what people would say about the NXT crowd sometimes, and I felt like sometimes they were just trying too hard.
Okay.
And when they did the "you fucked up," I was like, "Oh, shut up! Just this is amazing. Just let them get on with it." But the thing that really impressed me was that Dawson, if that's who the bald one is, he just sat on his knees and looked at the crowd and smiled at them and all that. He didn't panic and like try and do the move again, or anything like that. I really liked that because I think it basically shut the crowd up almost because he's just smiling at them. He just slowed right down. That was brilliant. I really, really liked that. I think, somebody maybe a bit more inexperienced or less confident or whatever might have just been straight back in and, like try and do something high impact again, but it totally worked.
Yeah, because I'm assuming these guys have been around the indie scene and had some probably pretty aggressive crowds on their back at various times. It was, like you see these guys who I think through various eras in WWE in particular, probably really new to being in front of a crowd. I think that's one of the reasons NXT worked in terms of, you're putting on these big shows for these guys, trying to get them used to the WWE way, if you like. But it's real. It's in front of a crowd. It's on, the network and things like that. And I think the experience shines through at times. Probably the inexperience does at times from certain others. But I watched these guys and thought they've been around the block. They're not new to this.
I'd be really interested to know how long they'd been together and all that sort of stuff. I really should have looked that up before we started talking. Honestly, I'm proper blown away by them. I thought they were amazing. And I suppose that does lead me. So I listened, before we came on here, I listened to an interview they had with Cornette just about two years ago or something like that, before they signed with AEW. They'd had their release and they were talking about the release and how they just felt that like the tag division in WWE was pretty much treated like a joke and they hated all that sort of stuff. But yeah, do you know? I take it they went up to the main roster and were just sort of used just how we see tag teams being used under Vince.
They were on the main roster. I think they got a title run, but it's so the spotlight was never on tag wrestling, and it was such an afterthought. There was someone. Is it like someone like Orton had a really good relationship with them? I think behind the scenes. And it sounded like at times he was trying to champion it and them and all that, but I just don't think there was an interest in the tag division, which is a real shame because these matches can be the most entertaining matches on any card. They can be absolutely brilliant.
Even just silly little, not silly, but little things like cutting the ring off. The way that they would slide across and get between Gable or Jordan. It was mostly Gable they were working on. And just the way that they were cutting the ring off and stopping him getting across to get the tag to Jordan was class. And just cerebral. sort of, aye, amazing.
Yeah, there was a
And
point when they were, I think they'd been working over Jordan for a while, and you kept waiting for the hot tag to Gable. Could have been the other way around, but yeah, they're close, Gable and Jordan, to making the tag, and Wilder, I think it is, appears from under the ring and pulls. It's Jordan that they're trying to get tagged in. Pulls him down from the apron just at the point that the hot tag is finally about to be made, and it's such a good like heat-seeking move. You know, the crowd are absolutely hating that, and they are reveling in it. The revival, brilliant.
Yep. And the thing is, like, I think if you saw that, if you or I were watching a WWE thing and that was done, that would be done in a comedy way. That's what but that wasn't done in a comedy way. It was done in a really devious, naughty sort of.
Yeah,
it's what you say.
What we're going to do to keep the advantage. And it's you look at it and think it's clever. It is clever what they've just done. So you kind of respect the intelligence of the heels rather than the heels kind of being these over the top evil characters.
Panto characters, aye, exactly. I was impressed with Jason Jordan. I thought I've got a couple of times it reminded me of Randy Orton, sort of young Randy Orton. The way that he moved, he's so big, but he's so athletic. Again, I know that he went on to the main roster, had a little bit of a run, but I think he got a bad injury, possibly.
Yeah, I think there's maybe doubt about whether he'll be able to wrestle in future. Can't remember the details about it, but I remember Kurt Angle speaking about it, he was a fan of this team and these guys, you know, watching on, and I think at a point was gonna be brought in to manage them, but I think that he ended up going in a bit of a silly direction where one of them was his like illegitimate son or something.
Illegitimate son, Jason Jordan,
Yeah, so yeah, it sounded like Angle was pretty disappointed because he liked the idea of just managing them as a team, you know, like I think he was saying like the Team Angle days when he had Benjamin and Haas. So yeah, I think it's a shame that that kind of thing didn't happen, and they're really entertaining. And there's a move that I'm pretty sure Jason Jordan lifts straight from Kurt Angle, which is where he runs, jumps onto the turnbuckle and suplexes the guy. Yeah, I was watching that thinking that's Kurt Angle right there.
Nice. So lots of lovely suplexes. There's a point where they both Revival guys try to get a hold of each other to try and stop, and they both get hit with German suplexes going the opposite ways. It's really cool. I don't have much notes, to be honest, about like specific moves. I don't know if you want to talk about the finish. It kind of comes not out of nowhere, but you know, we get like a pretty fast climax.
I wasn't actually sure how long this match lasted because I wasn't properly like clock watching while I was doing this show, which is probably a good thing. But so just looking at my notes when we start going to so I've got first thing I've got in my sort of
sorry, just 15 minutes it was.
Was it okay? So as we're heading towards the finish, we've got I've got Gable goes for a victory roll. Dawson blocks, pins for a 2. Gable reverses into a roll up. That's a 2 as well. Quite a lot of pin attempts in quick succession, with Gable and Dawson kicking out each time. They battle into the corner. Jordan tags himself in, and Dawson has no idea that the tag's taken place. Jordan from the other side of the ring hits a spear on the unsuspecting Dawson, and then the double suplex move from American Alpha for the pin win. I like seeing these these double team tag moves, these moves that are properly a team combination for a finish. I wouldn't say that one blew me away. I mean, they executed a lot of stuff in the match that I thought was pretty cool, but I did like the fact it was a 2-man move.
Aye, same. And I'm sure in that Survivor Series match they were doing stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
They're doing stuff together. What an amazing match to start. That's rivaling Mysterio and Angle at SummerSlam 2005 for me for a starter of a match.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. There was a feeling of it being, we know that there's a winner has been determined for this, but there's sometimes matches just draw you in, and you're
Hmm.
just watching and you're not thinking about that, and you're just being
Hmm.
entertained by what you're seeing, and there's almost a feeling of it being, and we know it's not, but it being a bit legit somehow in your
Hmm.
mind, and it got me to that feeling, which is always a good indication of a good match for me.
Absolutely. Amazing. So we have got Meltzer rating of 4 stars
Okay.
for that match, which is pretty appropriate.
Yeah, nice.
Um, we're followed by a bit of a mood killer, I would say. But I mean, I'm not complaining on a on a on a pay per view of what is it, 5 matches, and we got
Yeah.
one. I wouldn't even call it a stinker, but we get Baron Corbin and his lone wolf gimmick at this point. Seems like he's sort of climbed the ladder. You can tell me if I'm wrong. It seems like he's climbed the ladder a bit, maybe stuffed the opportunity to get a title shot, and he's kind of went down to that sort of upper middle card
Yeah,
sort of
so
area.
I think in the build they indicate he was involved in a triple threat match to be #1 contender, and he didn't win the match. And both, it looked like, was it two guys? I think both had it was Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe both had a submission locked in on Baron
Oh,
Corbin
that
at the
on
same
Corbin,
time.
that's
Yeah,
right.
and Corbin's not happy. I was trying to work out what his beef was because he's clearly the one that lost the match. I could see why there would be a disagreement about who won it, but he's very unhappy with William Regal. Regal seems to be doing a lot of announcing star signings
Mhm.
at this moment in time, and Austin Aries, who's not a guy I know an awful lot about. I think I remember him a little bit in TNA when I watched bits and
Right.
pieces of that. But he's announced as this like big star signing.
The greatest man that ever lived
Yeah.
was seems to be his moniker. I mean, talk about setting yourself up for a fall. Like Punk did the best of the world thing. Who else did? Was
Jericho.
Jericho best in
Yeah.
the world?
Yeah.
Shane McMahon. Well,
Yeah.
he's in the
Yeah.
Austin Aries category.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really odd moniker to give yourself because I was less than impressed with this guy. What about
Yeah.
you?
I couldn't get into the match, and
No,
I was thinking right from the start. I've got in my notes. I've never been a Baron Corbin guy. Is he over as a heel here? I hear
no.
some boos and some reaction, but I
I
don't
think
know.
I think when he first got started in NXT, they were doing the whole thing where he would come in, wreck somebody, and pin them really fast. And
Hmm.
apparently the fans sort of loved that. They would like
Okay.
count how long his matches would go on for because they were always
Right.
squashes.
Yeah.
He's obviously progressed. You kind of keep doing
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have a proper match. Yeah.
So you get Goldberg. But I've got that as well. I've just throughout this match, Corbin's trying to get some heel heat out of the crowd, but they just seem like they don't care.
Yeah, there's a few boos, but they're never getting like amped up about it. It's just like a boo, you know.
Aye, we see
Yeah,
you.
and
You're
I kind of feel like he's just stayed like that ever
mhm.
since.
Aye.
Yeah,
They've obviously seen something in him. They've had him.
yeah,
What did they have him as? Some sort of authority role, commissioner or something like that.
hmm
Wasn't he was Kurt Angle's final ever match, wasn't he?
yeah. There's still quite a lot of unhappy people about that.
That's
Like,
mental.
yeah, yeah. I've never paid an awful lot of attention to his work in ring, which you see him at times just totally dominating and manhandling the smaller guys, and that's fair
Mm-hmm.
enough. He's a big guy,
Yes.
and I wonder, could he be quite an ominous presence, or is he always just going to be a bit meh?
I see they've paired him with JBL now. They're saying that he's the modern day wrestling god, and JBL's his
Oh,
manager.
wow,
That should help get him over.
wow.
Like
I mean,
I thought. Sorry, go on.
the only thing I really loved about JBL, even if it is his big world title run, was that cow noise at the start of his music.
The thing about this match was Austin Aries is about half the size of Baron Corbin. It was no believable that he beat him,
Yeah.
especially when Corbin was like beating the hell out of him pretty much the whole match. every now and then, Aries would try and chop him, kick his legs. It was pish. It was pish. Sorry, it was pish.
Yeah, I mean they eventually Corbin dominates quite a chunk of the match, and then there's just these little comebacks by Aries, and then eventually Corbin dominates again. Aries eventually gets going. I mean, he looks like he's athletic enough, Aries and all that. He's probably not had the charisma in the match to connect. I don't know.
The
I've
greatest
watched
man
it.
ever lived, lacking charisma.
I mean, they have it. They kind of position it as a little bit of a fluke in a way.
Aye, like a
Corbin,
plucky
yeah.
win.
I mean, you've got Corbin going for the end of days, and he's spinning out and rolls up Corbin for the win. Corbin looking furious about the defeat. Yeah, it of all the matches on the card, it was the one I enjoyed least, and it just didn't grab me in any way really.
Agreed. And from what I could see on his Wikipedia page, Austin Aries isn't really getting work anymore because he was one of these people called out in the speaking out movement.
All right, okay.
After the whole Me Too stuff and that. So, fuck that guy. So, let's get excited. If we're not excited already, I'm really interested to see what you thought of this match, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I wonder if you're as enthusiastic as I am, and I've watched it twice now. I watched it last night after watching it last week, and it was better the second time. I'm more than happy to go and watch it again now. I think it might be one of the best matches I've ever seen.
I really enjoyed it. I only watched it once. So if that's the barometer, yeah. But no, I'll admit I came into this a little unsure, and I don't know if that's because we've had a Nakamura that didn't really hit the heights on the main roster, and I think we'll probably talk through and see some reasons for that as we go through. Sami Zayn, I know at this point, in my opinion, had been kind of lacking a character, a personality, good worker and all that, but just lacking something. So I wasn't sure whether this was going to be great or what. I thought it'll be decent in ring, but you know what's around it. I was quite interested the way they position it because I assume so. Sami Zayn is back in NXT after I think debuting on the main roster and getting injured.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's what I read it too.
That was, I think, when he challenged John Cena in the open invitation and injured his shoulder on the way to do the match. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he's supposed to get like his big moment. And there were a few people they brought through that week. They brought through Owens the same way.
Oh, I knew that one now.
And he had to do the whole match injured because he injured his shoulder on the way to the match. But
they seem to be indicating that he had an Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. Is that right?
Yeah. So I think straight after this, he's in the. Is it a ladder match for the Intercontinental title? I think.
Sounded like it. Aye.
Yeah. So he's kind of moved on in a way from NXT, but he is part of this group that I think were there early on that started making it what it was. And he's got the respect of the crowd. They're very much positioning it that he's got the respect of the likes of William Regal and the other performers and all that. So he's kind of one of your main guys, one of your top guys that is on the brand. And you've got this very exciting new signing who is oozing charisma, and Sami Zayn's going to get his last NXT moment to be in the ring with Nakamura. So I quite like the way they ended up positioning that story.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah, what's your? Have you seen much of Nakamura on the main roster?
Little bits and pieces. I've seen round about. When would that have been? 2018. He won the Royal Rumble, possibly. Main evented WrestleMania against AJ Styles. I've seen these matches. I've always been really underwhelmed when I've watched them, and I've never understood what the hype is at all. And I don't mean that like disrespectfully. I genuinely was just like, what is this whole charisma thing? What is
Hmm.
the big deal sort of thing? And obviously that's just ignorance because like so I've subsequently went back. I watched a Wrestle Kingdom main event between him and AJ Styles in New Japan, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's like a
So
different form of wrestling.
I think there were a lot of people really excited when they were going to be in that WrestleMania title match opposing each
Mhm.
other. And then because it's under the WWE umbrella and they're supposed to work the WWE way and all that, I think it was pretty underwhelming for,
Mhm.
people who were really excited to see it. But I suppose it just shows what I think this match for me showed what he could be doing if they would just, have taken the reins off and just let him work and do his thing.
Yeah. So this kind of um, sits quite nicely with where I was on Sunday because me and my son went to WWE Live show in Glasgow. Nakamura was fighting Gunta for the Intercontinental title, and it was great fun. It was a good match, and after watching this match, I was really excited to see him and all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
But if he is doing the house show circuit, I can 100% understand why they've got him to change his style because he probably wouldn't still be wrestling
Hmm. Yeah.
at this point in time if he's using that strong style. Like guys wouldn't want to wrestle him. I can't
Hmm.
imagine night upon night as well. So I do understand that. But it's just so disappointing seeing this match as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the thing is, you can probably, you hear it quite a lot on podcasts from wrestlers or former wrestlers as you get a bit older. You can pick your spots a bit better. I think
Mm-hmm.
house shows, I've been at a house show and there's quite a lot of comedic stuff in there. There's quite a
Aye,
lot of over the top stuff and things like that. So I think you could pick your, oh, this is a big pay per view. All right, shall we try this style? Shall we just do this kind of match? And Nakamura would be perfect for that kind of thing. For just every now and then, just let the reins
just
off
go
a little
for it.
bit. Yeah.
Aye, and plenty of them do it, and you've seen times where Brock Lesnar's busted people open
Hmm.
and said like slow down and all that sort of stuff. I think it was
Yeah.
Braun Strowman, and we talked about Jericho and Shane McMahon. So like they might they might not have that much autonomy to make decisions, but
Yeah.
like when they're in there, they can pretty much got the
Hmm.
opportunity to do what they want. So I was thinking the same thing. I'd quite like to revisit that AJ Styles WrestleMania main event just to see what it looked like.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm sure it's probably quite underwhelming.
I love the Nakamura music.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it works so well. It's brilliant.
I genuinely think that's part. I think this is a perfect match. Both the guys' music engaged the crowd. The crowd are
Hmm.
singing both guys' music
Yeah.
right from the very minute Sami Zayn came out. I thought Sami Zayn looked like a total superstar.
Hmm.
The way he came out, full of energy, and then Nakamura. Like I genuinely, I've got this written here. It sounds 100% gimpy. I've written here. I'm getting chills at Nakamura's entrance. It's
Yeah.
just so cool.
It's awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and like I say, I felt like this was like watching a different type of wrestling.
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of guys try and do the whole MMA, like I can do this, that, and the next thing as far as Taekwondo or
Hmm.
different types of martial arts, and it just never really translates. But this with Nakamura, 100% translated. I believed everything he
Yeah.
was doing pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was laying in. He was laying in knees and elbows
Yeah.
and punches.
Yeah.
And Zayn was doing the same back to him as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like that the more it went on, the more they were getting more comfortable with each other and doing that more.
One of the many things that I really liked about Nakamura was particularly early on in the match. There's a few mind games, he's doing his little dances and things like that. But then it almost makes it more unsettling how hard he suddenly goes in with kicks. because you're
Aye.
like he's just kind of messing about and things like that, and then boom, and you're like,
Like really
oh
fast.
yeah,
Aye. There's a few times I was like genuinely, oof, that was some, that was real.
hmm yeah,
Aye, I don't know. I feel like I could speak about this match forever. We've not even talked about like the rhythm of the match and all that.
hmm
And genuinely, the first time I watched it, I think I had this preconception that Nakamura's been a bit underwhelming,
hmm
and I was kind of like, all right, okay, here like we've watched a couple of Sami Zayn matches and they've
yeah,
been all right. This was just a completely different
yeah,
world altogether. Yeah, I don't know where to go with it. There's just so much. There's a lot. They're doing a lot of work in the crowd. I liked that Sami was just sat in the corner when Nakamura came out, and he was kind of just smiling and taking in the whole
yeah.
entrance and all that.
hmm
You got the impression there was an appreciation for each other throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I like that. I also was sitting watching, thinking, is there a little bit of Sami Zayn thinking, I'm not going to get this again? Because
Mm,
if he's moving to the main roster, which he is by the sounds of it, like 2 nights later, um, this presentation, this type of match, all that, I did wonder as he's sitting there if he's thinking, I've got to enjoy this because it's
yeah,
probably not going to be like this as soon as I make that move.
and it sounds like from what I've read and heard that him and Owens had a lot of matches like this
hmm
on the Indies.
Yeah,
Where they basically just balls to the wall, laying it on thick to each other.
yeah,
So you could be right. It feels like a proper moment,
hmm
the whole thing, and the end of it as well. And he gets a good send off and all that from
yeah,
the crowd.
yeah,
Um, One of those ones where both guys are elevated, regardless of who won.
hmm
Definitely. Um, yeah, even like we talk about the striking, but the submission moves. There's a point where Nakamura flies into an armbar and then
yeah.
transitions into a triangle. I've
Uh-huh.
never seen anybody do such believable
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu type maneuvers. And you've got Undertaker doing Hell's Gate and all that. It looks so contrived, whereas
yeah.
this looks
Uh-huh.
legit. It's brilliant, so
Like,
good.
yeah, I was watching, what I was thinking when I was watching it is a guy does not have the opportunity to get away from this. Like, because the transition was so quick. Whereas,
Hmm
like you say, when you're watching somebody take, 30 seconds to apply a move or something like that, you're looking, thinking, well, this guy could just shove him off or
There's a bit of
whatever. But yeah,
cooperation on the go.
yeah, yeah.
Even like Sami Zayn's way of getting out of it wasn't to like pick him up and powerbomb. He was just basically using his foot and try to kick him in the head to get him
hmm
off him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like clawing
Uh-huh.
at him sort of thing,
Yeah.
which added to it as well. Honestly, I can't say any more about it. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Even just, when there's like headlocks, suplexes, some pretty basic moves, the crowd were so into it. Like,
Hmm
they're massively invested in what's going on. And I know that works two ways. There's the you have to get the crowd involved, but also they have to, help the match. Like you sort of touched on earlier, sometimes a crowd can hurt a match, sometimes a
hmm
crowd can help a match. I'm not sure this one needed all that much help, but they seemed invested all the way through.
Aye,
Um,
aye.
and yeah, a lot of credit obviously to the performers for keeping them invested all the way through. But it does make a difference just hearing the reaction all the way.
Aye, it definitely adds to it, definitely. Do you want to hear an interesting fact about this match that you might be surprised at? You might know, but you might be surprised at. They didn't plan anything.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay.
So I think Sami said something like he knew Shinsuke, but like he knew of him.
hmm
But they didn't ever have a conversation where they said, let's do this, that, and the next thing they just said, let's go out there and just feel each other out and we'll see what happens. Which makes
Interesting.
it all the more ridiculous. And it
Yeah.
just makes you wonder, it makes you wonder how choreographed and scripted all of these matches are and what could they be if they
Yeah.
weren't.
'Cause it's like I suppose I can see it from different viewpoints. Maybe if you've got two guys that you're confident in that know exactly what they're doing, why not maybe just let them go out and do their thing? Like, I think one of the things that's always said about Ric Flair is that nobody read a crowd better. Like in his peak, he knew from a crowd reaction what way to go with a match, and he just knew. There's probably a lot of performers out there that would be totally lost with that kind of thing, I would imagine. But I also imagine there's this sort of younger generation of talent that say they've, always worked in America, say they've, guys that have come up through a WWE umbrella, they would never know any other way. They wouldn't. They probably every move planned out is the only way they would know. But yeah, it's interesting. If you took guys that knew exactly what they were doing and just put them out there, the quality of match, obviously, that you can get out of them is pretty awesome in the right circumstances.
Yeah, and I think it's right the way that they're going with Sami Zayn. Clearly, he's getting catapulted. That Nakamura wins this match is the right thing to do. And I want to say he's champion by the end of the year.
Right. Okay.
Nakamura. It's just crazy to even think that guy with that talent, they debuted him on NXT. You know, when you look back at it's mental.
Because so few...
How was he content to be?
I know
to debut on NXT.
I suppose it probably wouldn't happen now because the competition's there, and when you're trying to sign somebody who's say huge in Asia, you maybe have to make them a guarantee that they're going to the main roster now.
Yeah.
But most I think
like WWE signing Jay White and having him turn up on NXT.
Yeah. I do from memory. Most of the sort of big indie signings did go through NXT. I think AJ Styles didn't. I think he came in and was straight
in the Rumble.
But he got that reaction at the Rumble, which probably gave them no choice, But yeah, I do wonder now. I just don't think it would happen now. If it was somebody that over, and I think Triple H would look and say, "This guy knows what he's doing." We're going to use him on the main roster right from the off.
Yeah. Truly amazing. I'm glad you enjoyed it as much as I did. Proper taken aback by it. I was reading about it, and I saw somebody liking it to seeing Bret Hart for the first time, as far as he made everything look like it was real.
Right.
Made an effort to
Yeah, I get that. I could
relate to that.
Yep.
So Nakamura gets the win. He does his Kansashi.
I tried to write it. Kinshasa
kick. I'm going to butcher what the reason is behind that, so I'm not going to bother trying. Something to do with Muhammad Ali and what they were shouting in the crowd at Rumble in the Jungle, I think.
Okay.
Nakamura gets the win. The crowd go bananas. Sami Zayn gets a lovely send-off. Everyone,
yeah,
pretty much.
And I think like you talked about, giving Nakamura the win, that makes complete sense. He's basically debuting on the NXT brand, giving Sami Zayn his send-off as being against one of the next big stars. And he got his moment, Zayn got his moment. I suppose he would have preferred this than getting a win in a match against somebody a bit meh, or Baron Corbin or something like that.
Rolling him up.
Yeah. So he gets his moment. He gets the "Thank you, Sami" chant. Really, really enjoyable match. Really well presented. Just the whole thing. Made me. If I was watching that at the time, I would have come away. I would have ended up so disappointed, but I would have come away believing that Nakamura was going to be the next huge megastar. He'll be in NXT for a while. He'll go to the main roster. He'll win all the titles. He'll be huge. And I would also be assuming, and he's got there in the end, I think, but that Sami Zayn was going to have a hell of a career ahead of him as well. I think from the sound of it, although I've not been watching much, from a character point of view, they've really started to use him in pretty effective ways, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty much main event player these days.
Mm.
Really, really entertaining. He was really entertaining at that house show in Glasgow. Him and Jey Uso, such a funny dynamic between the two of them. Great
Yeah,
fun.
I was trying to pick up on the story from it was the Wrestling with Freddie podcast because he is a massive fan of Sami Zayn. He's like his favorite guy, and he's been saying for a few weeks in this podcast that it's the Sami Zayn show. The is it Raw he's on? Is it
SmackDown.
SmackDown? SmackDown. He refers to it as the Sami Zayn show, and I was thinking well, it must be a bit tongue in cheek here, but then there's a lot more where they're talking about like he's being a bit sneaky and one of the Usos can see it and none of the others seem able to see it and all that. And I thought it does sound pretty entertaining, but I suppose that shows the character development because if you look here, he's a very good wrestler and he's got the crowd chanting for him and the presentation of what he's doing really works in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see how that wouldn't maybe work on the big shows, the Raw,
Just another
SmackDown,
guy.
and the pay-per-views. Yeah. Whereas I think he's, by the sounds of it, he's pretty much come into his own now, which is good. It's good to see.
It is. It definitely is. Okay, I'm going to have to go for a cold shower and then we can discuss Bayley and Asuka. Because between that revival match and that match, like, this is just a 5-star golden
I was
pay-per-view right now.
ask if you knew the Meltzer rating for that Nakamura Zayn match.
I do. Don't get angry. It got 4.5 stars.
It's a wee bit better than that, is it?
Fuck off, Meltzer.
Okay.
Tidy your office, you daft old idiot. So spreading gossip about CM Punk and get your bum in gear. So Bayley and Asuka for the women's NXT title match was next. Bayley in classic proper babyface mode, it seems.
Yeah.
Asuka being presented as not an idiot that dances about and does daft things like I've seen her doing in the main roster, but a killing machine, essentially.
Yeah.
Really well presented, kind of terrifying. You get the impression, I think they showed her hitting pads before in the build up to the match, and it's just like, this is class.
I came into this like I know Asuka had her run on the main roster. She's been in big matches, she's held titles and all that. I knew that Bayley had sort of, I think, tried to transition this character into the main roster, and I think it was a little bit meh. I don't know how fast people were for that. Has become different characters over time. I actually quite enjoyed her thing with Sasha Banks a year or so ago. With friends, but not quite sure they can trust each other thing. So that I think she's shown more as she's gone character wise. But I started this and watched the build and the start of this match, and I thought Bayley's champion, and they're feeding her to Asuka. That is how it felt going into this. Now they are able to have Bayley be like there's no quitting her type character, but it's a little bit like a long squash. Quite a lot of it.
It is a little bit. It's a bit like a Gargano match, a little bit. If Gargano's going in as champion against a Samoa Joe or something like that. I definitely, I agree with you, but I feel like Asuka, everything Asuka was doing was fast, explosive, tremendous striking, and Bayley trying to just slow it down a little bit and just sort of calm things down, which is an odd dynamic for sort of babyface and I don't really know, tweener Asuka would have been a little bit.
Because the crowd are, I mean, I think Bayley's quite over as a babyface here, but the crowd aren't anti Asuka at all. I think there's like an immediate respect, which it makes her quite hard to boo in that way.
It's almost like they're just impressed by stuff. They're clapping, applauding. Whoa! Some of the stuff. Bayley hits a hurricane runner for the top rope.
She does. Yeah.
I've never seen that before. That was class.
Yeah.
And then she does one through the ropes. to the outside as well.
Yep. Yeah, jumps through the ropes. Yeah, it's impressive.
I've never seen that before either. It's class.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, like, in terms of her matches, I don't know that I've ever seen her being quite as like athletic as they had her being in these in this. It's impressive. I think she's, you know, a pretty high level worker, but I've not seen her executing a lot of these moves. Maybe it is again just a thing of maybe you don't do some of these moves when you move to the main roster.
That's it. I suppose we're 6 years removed for this. You're talking about them being younger and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Certainly,
and I know she's had injuries as well, pretty bad ones, kept her out quite a period of time. So
right.
I wouldn't expect her to be working like this now.
Aye.
Yeah.
So it's quite. I saw her, a wee clip her on Raw after watching this match. She's quite a difference in her size now. She's really lean.
Okay.
In that match there, but now she's just looking that a bit bigger. Aye, a lot of stuff Asuka's doing is just class. Like we spoke about Nakamura with the submissions, flying armbar by Asuka, and we're doing the whole Bayley's just refusing to quit. She won't quit stuff. She did a crossface chicken wing at one point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Is that how she won it?
Wait a minute. Let's just get to the end.
Yeah, she passed out. Bayley passed out.
Yeah. So I think, did she originally put on like an armbar and then move it into a chicken wing? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they had Bayley pass out rather than tap out, which, you know, I think you're doing your best to try and keep Bayley strong. I don't know if she's moving to main roster here or if she's staying where she is. I've got it in my head she maybe moved a little bit later than the likes of Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, Charlotte. Right. But yeah, I don't imagine she's in NXT too much longer from this stage. But yeah, they do the no quit thing, which keeps her, you know, strong, although she has just been totally dominated. I've come out of this thinking, ask for a rematch. I'd be thinking, just walk away. Just leave it.
I want to say that they had Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Sasha in the build-up to it, and they were asking who they thought would win.
Yeah.
So I think they must have been on the main roster.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they all moved a little bit before Bayley.
But again, like it doesn't come over contrived. You know, sometimes you see the whole thing of like nobody's won, or you know, like I don't know, got a 3 count whilst they're tapping, and you're just a bit like, oh, I forgot. Like they just obviously want to keep both.
Yeah.
You know, like Vince got a whole thing about people not taking losses and stuff like that, and needing to keep them strong. But this didn't feel contrived because it's part of the story that they've told.
Yeah, and you know, I think. You can be. I've definitely seen it done not very well at times where somebody doesn't tap out, they pass out, and you're left thinking, well, why wouldn't they just tap out, or why wouldn't you just have them tap out? I think I can see why they did it here, to keep her strong for wherever she's going next. But yeah, I mean, I would have walked away from this thinking, who would beat Asuka?
Nobody. Aye. Interesting to know where she went from here. I wonder who was her next challenger. I'd like to have seen NXT Shayna Baszler versus NXT Asuka. That'd be quite cool.
Is Asuka still with the company?
I saw her doing a run on. I think maybe her. Look at me pretending like I didn't know. Her and Alexa Bliss won the women's tag champions tag titles that night.
Okay. Well.
There you go. That takes us to our NXT title match. Finn Balor, who is the champion, taking on Samoa Joe, and these two seem to be going back and forward. I think we're pretty much smack bang right in the middle of them, possibly headlining 3 takeovers on the trot.
Right.
I think this is the second one. They've done the one in London before this, where Balor won. And this is Joe getting another shot, obviously because the takeovers are quite spaced out. He's managed to get himself back up the ranks, and I think you mentioned the number 1 contender match.
Yeah.
So Joe's just a total badass. Eh? Like you believe him.
Oh yeah, I feel like for some reason he reminds me in ways of Taz, but
I see that.
ECW Taz, not
Hmm.
WWE Taz. It's just like it's like a wrecking machine.
Aye,
He's so intimidating. Like
aye. He
you
looks
get
so angry.
yeah, and you get the crowd doing like the Joe is gonna kill you chant and all that. You're like, Jesus, he is. Yeah, I loved this presentation. I bet Triple H loved this. Like he would
Hmm.
have loved Samoa Joe.
Hmm.
And again, I thought going into this quite a nice contrast because I wasn't sure if one thing I've never been sure about. I like Finn Balor, but see when you've got someone like the Demon, um, whether it could be overdone, and I know that I think they fell into that trap quite early on the main
Oh,
roster where it was like almost
absolutely.
every appearance he was being
Yep.
the Demon. But it
Uh-huh.
looked like in the London match and in this match he was the Demon for both of those.
Uh-huh.
And I think I probably get that, although I wondered if he maybe shouldn't have been for the first one. But yeah, because it seemed like he got his ass kicked in the first one, but he got out of there
Hmm.
with the belt. That was the
Yep.
way they did the build. And I think I was probably expecting Joe to win this because I hadn't looked at who was going to win or anything like that. I think I just assumed, well, they'll go one each, and then they'll maybe do the tiebreaker in the third.
Hmm.
But yeah, I did enjoy that. There wasn't. I think there's probably two matches on the card I prefer to this one, but I did enjoy this though. I thought it was a pretty good match.
I think there was potential for this to be completely um, overlooked this match because of like the crowd could have been in that position where they've been so hot that this must have been that
Yeah.
this could have been hard to get through, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe getting busted open and the lulls in the match actually helped them,
Mm-hmm.
so that it almost gave them like a common enemy in the doctors and the referees,
Yeah.
the crowd. I mean, wiping away the blood and all that almost gave them a sort of common enemy because they wanted the match to keep going.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was assuming that wasn't planned, but I didn't actually know as I was watching it.
so they banged heads. It was an
Mhm,
accidental head bashing. You sometimes see that in UFC
mhm,
quite a lot. So I assumed it was just like they're just sort of rolling with it
mhm.
because
Yeah.
they must have been in a PG. You can't show blood
Mhm.
because they did the same with Nakamura. Nakamura bloodied his nose and they were wiping him
Yeah, that's
earlier
right.
on as well.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting.
Like,
Yeah, I probably didn't think about it in the same way. The fact that yeah, the common enemy was the doctor or the threat of the match not
stop him.
actually playing out. Yeah,
Aye.
which yeah, I think it did help it actually. Because again, I wasn't sure. You know, Joe is this like intimidating guy, this really convincing badass, but I didn't get the impression he was getting an awful lot of boos from the crowd. I think they are probably just wanting to see him.
Aye.
He's such an impressive performer. The way he
I
moves and the
agree.
size he is, it's mind blowing.
Amazing, eh? The thing, going back to what you were saying about the demon, as soon as I saw the face paint and all that, I was like, oh, roll my eyes a little bit.
Hmm.
Because I think I've only really seen main roster demon, like Michael Cole giving it the whole, Finn, it's a different side to Finn Balor and he has to go to these lengths and all that stuff. This just felt like it was Finn Balor in face paint and he
Okay.
was being a
Yeah.
bit mental.
Yeah.
To me, it didn't feel like he was playing this sort of daft mythical character that
Hmm.
can't be beaten or anything like that because he was taking a bit of a beating.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Whereas, like on the main roster, it's like, well, the demon's undefeated, and when Finn Balor feels like he needs to really dig deep in himself and go to that dark side, and when the demon comes out and all that, it's just all a bit cartoony and
I know
silly.
what you mean. Yeah.
Whereas this just felt, he came out with, he was doing the whole like Texas Chainsaw Massacre gimmick,
Yeah.
with the chainsaw and the what do you call it, the big brown apron.
Mhm.
He just looked he looked insane.
I kept staring at the chainsaw, trying to work out if it was a real one, because I was like,
Me too.
would they be all right
Swinging
with
that
that?
thing
It's
about.
just, yeah. But I couldn't, like, you know how some things just look obviously like plastic or whatever. I couldn't tell that if it was fake, but they did quite a good job with it. But I was not expecting him to come out wielding a chainsaw.
And that's what they seemed to do. I think he came out in the London one. He came out as a demon, but he was like in Victorian
Okay.
get up with a top hat and all that sort of stuff. And it seems like, there's obviously a creative guy in there,
Yeah.
and just getting the chance to do what he wants. And I think you've seen that now with the Judgment Day. He's coming out in like that Daft Gimp mask thing that he was coming out in the last pay-per-view, and it's just like, God, it's a shame that the amount of these performers that have been dancing to the tune of Vince McMahon for so many years, and that it's a shame there's probably so much more that they could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the horrible feeling. One bad idea of your own and you're probably done. Whereas I'm hopeful with Triple H at the helm. Maybe people will get the chance to just try things. Try something. If it doesn't work, try something else. That
Yep.
kind of thing. A little bit more creative freedom. That would be good for a lot of these guys.
100%, definitely. I think that was a lot of the selling point of people going to AEW was you get a bit of freedom.
Yeah.
Come over here and you can Aleister Black does all these crazy sort of dark gimmick and all that. Go to town on it. That's why I always thought Bray Wyatt would end up going to AEW, because I thought he would like the opportunity to just go wild. But it's worked out, hopefully quite well that way. But anyway, back to this match. Like, you're talking about Samoa Joe and how he's such a big guy, and then he's does a suicide dive out the ring.
Yeah,
it's just unbelievable. It's so good. You got Finn Balor going over the top rope as well. Joe launches him into the crowd. Takes out a security guard.
Yeah.
That does not look pre-planned at all. The guy gets completely wiped. And it must be round about that time that Joe gets cut, and then we start getting these lulls where they look like they might potentially top the match. They're telling Balor to like lay off and wiping at his face and all that.
Yeah, and the announcers I thought did quite well. They're playing up the fact, well, yeah, this needs to be done, but this helps Finn Balor because it was so often happening just after he'd taken a bit of an ass kicking and he's getting a chance to recover a little bit. Joe is getting more and more frustrated by the stoppages and all that because he just wants to get on with it and dominate.
Yeah.
Really interesting. I wonder if that hadn't happened. I wonder what this match would have been like.
Where it
But
would
they've
have
just
been.
been given this story arc to play off, which worked really well.
The other thing I liked was that after Joe was getting looked at for his cut, Balor was coming in vicious. There didn't seem to be any sort of apprehension to do anything. He was coming in and hitting him with these wild chops and a huge big drop kick right in the face.
Yeah.
It's almost like that Nakamura Zayn match, like set a bar for like just go to it, go for it, balls to the wall.
Yeah.
There's a great point where Balor went for the sling blade move, where it's kind of like a diving clothesline thing. Joe just catches him in midair and suplexes him. It's absolutely amazing.
Yep. Yeah, I like
proper power move. He hits him with a power bomb and transitions into a Boston Crab as well.
Yeah.
At one point, transitions to a Boston Crab into a crossface as well, but then Finn Balor reverses it. But the way Joe does it is all just like it's like a piece of piss to him. Just picks him up, douche, and goes straight into this thing, waha, and then into the crossface again. It's totally impressive, and you can understand why if you're in the crowd, you'd just be like, "Yes, amazing."
Yeah. It's that all just before we've got the Balor on the turnbuckle, Joe catching him. Joe looks like he's going for the muscle buster off the top rope. Balor countering. I like the Muscle Buster as a move.
Aye, me too. Impressive.
And then I thought it was going to be the end, where so Joe hits a Enziguri kick on Balor, and he's still perched on the turnbuckle at that point, and Joe uses the fact he's up there to hit the Muscle Buster. I thought that was it. I genuinely thought that was going to be a 3 count at that point.
It's like 2.99999 as well. It's so close.
Yep.
And we get Joe. Is this the same thing as Shayna Baszler does? Is it Coquina Clutch? Coquina
Yeah,
Clutch?
I think that's what they were saying. Yeah.
That's a different thing, isn't it? She does something different. And they did the Bret Hart Roddy Piper finish.
Yeah.
Is that WrestleMania 7?
Yes.
The sleeper into use the turnbuckles and pin them down. I love that.
Yeah.
We always talk about that, about like finishes that come out of nowhere. It doesn't have to be the whole contrived hit your finishing move 1, 2, 3, like it came out of nowhere, and it plays into the story they've been telling about Balor and sneaking the win again.
Yeah.
Great way to finish it.
Yeah, so I think that was if you're going for a third match, but you want to keep the title on Balor for going there, I think that kind of finish is the exact way they had to do it. It had to look like, so Joe had a bad cut, still kicked Balor's ass, but Balor just manages to get out of there with his belt. And then you can very convincingly go on to a match 3, even though the guy's up 2-0. It's still, there's nothing telling you that that Joe can't beat Balor.
Right.
I mean, he's been kicking his ass for 2 matches worth of time now.
It's brilliant. And like I said, it could have been completely overshadowed by some of the matches that came before, but it wasn't. That's to their credit.
Yeah.
Any idea off the top of your head where Balor goes for here? He must be main rostered relatively soon after this, is
he? Yeah, I would have thought so. See, he debuted on the main roster, and then it wasn't that long until he won the Universal title, but he got injured winning it. Had to vacate and then disappear for quite a while. But yeah, it can't be that far into the distance, I don't think.
I wonder if it was just the whole demon thing, and they've seen Vince seen dollar signs as far as merchandise is concerned.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's a good worker, and he's clear. I do quite like him with a group around him. I think that can work well. And I wasn't sure. Did I hear they brought back Anderson and Gallows, and they're with AJ Styles? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Like an almost reforming of the Bullet Club.
Aye.
Yeah.
They're doing this whole angle where Balor was trying to get AJ Styles to join the Judgment Day and doing the whole we're Bullet Club guys for life sort of thing. And AJ says, I've got friends too. They brought back Anderson and Gallows, and they keep doing the whole thing where it's like 3v3 because it's Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio, and Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And Rhea Ripley's the equalizer, and she's always making, she slammed Gallows last week.
Okay.
And I think she low blowed him the other night or something like that. So I don't know if they're maybe going to bring in, do a War Games and bring in a female to go with Rhea Ripley or something. Don't know.
Yeah, because I like the idea of those groups facing off against each other. I think that can work. Yeah. Cool.
So they're doing a lot for. It really looks like they're doing a lot for Dominic Mysterio as far as him not being this sort of bland. Oh, aye, that's Rey Mysterio's son, sort of thing.
Yeah. But how tough must it be? I mean, that's your dad, and he's still there. It's not like coming in years after the event or something like that. He's still there. But yeah, anything that I think can give him a little bit more to his character. I noticed. What did I watch? Did I watch the last? I must have watched the last Premium Live event. I saw him, and he was being like this, scared but cunning, conniving. and I think it can work. I assume at some point they get to a Dominic against Ray match.
They've split them, Ray's away to SmackDown.
Oh, is he?
So I
Okay.
assume the idea is just to just completely rip the Band-Aid off and just get
Just
him away from.
let him go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because they would have to have a match, I suppose, if they'd stayed on the same brand, and you would probably have to put Dominic over. Maybe not clean, but you would have to do that. But yeah, no, I'm glad he's kind of getting to do his own thing. I think that's what needs to happen, you would say. But yeah, no, it's I like Finn Balor. I think he's a good performer. I think he's a good worker in the ring. I remember being surprised when they put the Universal title on him, but obviously didn't last long through injury. But someone there must see something, I think. Be surprised if Triple H didn't see something in him as well.
I think so. And he had a really good run during COVID in NXT when he went back, and he was more the sort of Prince gimmick,
Right.
almost harken back to his New Japan Bullet Club days. That was really quite impressive. Had good matches with, I was going to say with Samoa Joe, but that's not who I mean. Karrion Kross and Damian Priest and Keith Lee. So yeah.
Thanks.
So that was NXT Takeover Dallas. It was a bloody beautiful wee surprise, was it not?
It was a really good show. I think the only thing that didn't grab me was the Corbin Austin Aries match. I enjoyed, I can't say that there's been a whole host of Bayley matches that I've really enjoyed in my time, but I did enjoy the Asuka Bayley match.
Me too.
And then I think that title match very, very good. And then I loved the tag match, and I loved Nakamura and Sami Zayn. Really, really good show.
Absolutely. Bravo. Where are we going? Well done, Trips. Keep it up. So normally we would be going to that dark cave with the fires and the golden syrup. We would be going to speak to the Oracle to see what was next, because she's been decent to us. What did she give us? Survivor Series 2018, then she gave us that. Is that the only two that we've had for the Oracle so far?
Unforgiven 2002.
She's been very good to us.
Yeah, she has.
But on Saturday night / Sunday morning, at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I left you a message. I was a little bit, I had a little bit to drink.
It sounded like one or two, yeah.
A little bit.
You ever think the Oracle might be wrong? And maybe sometimes we should just choose our own destiny? I think, fuck the Oracle.
And it was at that point that I decided, clearly, fuck the Oracle. So I asked you today if we could watch any paper. Let's be honest. I consulted the Oracle, and she wanted us to watch that War Games WCW pay-per-view from 1988 that's got the Ultimate Warrior in it. And I will be fucked if I'm watching that. We watched enough WCW in 1998, okay? So we're not doing it. So I asked you if you could pick any pay-per-view to watch next, what would you pick? And you said...
I said...
And you said...
SummerSlam 1994. Now, I have to, admit, I got the message through on the question, and then I thought, that one with Brett and Owen in the cage, and then I thought, I've got to have a look at that. I look at what show it is, and then once I found out what show it was, I just said that immediately. So I can't say I put an awful lot of thought into it. It was for whatever reason, Brett and Owen in the cage was the very first thing that popped into my mind.
I like that. You could be the new Oracle. Let's look at the card, and then if we're not satisfied that we want to watch it, we'll consult the Oracle. All right?
Okay.
How's that sound?
That's fine.
So, we've got the Head Shrinkers versus the $1 Million Corporation.
Okay.
Alundra Blaze versus Bull Nakano for the Women's World Title. Oh my God.
Oh, you're going to have to go and
Wow.
wake the Oracle.
Diesel versus Razor
Oh, yes.
with Walter Payton in his corner
Oh,
for some
okay.
reason. Tatanka v Lex Luger. Jeff Jarrett v Mabel
Oh, no.
with Oscar. World Heavyweight Title match, Brett versus Owen. So this would have been after Mania
Yep.
10.
Yep.
And in the main event, we've got a singles match between The Undertaker and The Undertaker.
The Undertaker?
Oh. Okay. If you want to watch it, I'm happy to watch it. I would rather watch that than whatever she came up with Ultimate Warrior in 1988.
I think we should watch it.
Okay.
I think maybe it. I mean, some of it's going to be bad, and I don't feel like there's a lot we can do about that.
Who's the fake Undertaker? Because I thought it was Nash, but clearly it's not.
No, it was what was his name? He was friends with Undertaker. Brian Lee.
Oh.
So he was in DOA, the motorbike.
Oh,
group.
aye. No, who you mean.
So
What,
yeah, and
Crash?
No, different guy.
Okay. That's
But,
Bryan Adams.
Yes.
He had
So-
a big hit with that Robin Hood song as well.
Yeah, this guy, I think they just saw him as a tag guy, but then someone at some point was like, he's about the same size as the Undertaker, and look, he's got hair. You know,
Chains.
was he Chains? Okay.
Brian Lee, you're right. He's got hair. He's big.
Yeah.
He could be Mean
Well-
Mark.
Was this would be before? I think they were always trying to come up with something clever and creative for Undertaker. Eventually, they landed on Kane, which was the thing that stuck. But this
That's
I don't
gotta
think
be Kane.
lasted very long. This Undertaker v
That'd be
Undertaker.
interesting then. I'm up for that. Unfortunately, there's a dark match, Adam Bomb versus Quang, which I would have been well up for because I really like the Turtles.
Oh,
But
Oh, dear.
that was Krang, not bad. I think Quang's Rikishi, isn't it? No? I'm making that up.
I'm gonna have to look him up.
Oh no, Savio Vega.
Vega. Quang is
Rikishi
Savio
is on
Vega.
here somewhere though. He's a head shrinker, I think.
I like
Would he
the
be
head shrinkers.
Fatu? Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's do it.
The original tribal chief.
Well,
And he did it for The Rock. They're trying to get The Rock back. Now it's always Burns that are in the bloodline. Story writes itself. Call me Trips. Yeah, let's do SummerSlam 94.
yes.
Nice choice. And next time, fuck the Oracle. We'll mad again. We'll see.
I mean, if there's something jumps out at you immediately, like Brett and Owen in a cage did for me, then maybe we go with it. But the Oracle's there as a. I was going to say the Quang is there as a
Nice.
fallback, but the Oracle's there as a fallback.
Okay. Like, I really want to go and watch. Well, I went and watched that Nakamura AJ Styles match from Wrestle Kingdom 10, which is on Daily Motion. If you ever want to watch it, it's
Okay.
absolutely class. My instinct is go and watch loads of revival matches, but I'm 1000% sure if I watch them on the main roster, they'll be awful.
Yeah.
I'm sure I heard something about an angle where they had to shave each other's back or something. Just let them bloody wrestle. Fucking weird old man. Anyway. NXT Takeover Dallas, you were good to us. SummerSlam 94 coming from Chicago, Illinois. We will talk about next.
Awesome.
Until then, Adam, you take it easy. Don't send me any drunken messages or I'll play them on the podcast, clearly.
Noted.
See you in 2 weeks.
Cheers.